Alright, so this was number 4. Y is equal to 2x to the minus 4 here. So just a little bit of adjustment here. There's your 2x to the minus 4. This is fine. But just what you got to understand is that really there is a 1 here. So this number is really 1/5 x. This x over 5 is really 1/5 x. So now you can find the answer. Dy by dx is equal to negative 8x minus 4 minus 1. Put in your calculator, minus 5. Now this 1 times that will give you minus 1/5. And if I write down x here, x to the 1 minus 1 will give me x to the 0. I can ignore x to the 0. So that is the final answer. Right. 5.1. 5.1. Right. You've got dx of of 1 minus x to the half into 1 minus 2x to the half. So, you have to open this bracket out. So if you like, you can just make this question like this. F of x is equal to 1 times 1 will give you 1. You see I'm multiplying, I'm using the, and then that will give you minus 1x to the half, and that will give you minus 2x to the half. So altogether you'll have minus 3x to the half. You know, we're using the simple rule of distributive law or whatever your teacher has taught you. So 1 times 1 gives you 1. Inners times outers, that will give you minus 1x to the half, that will give you minus 2x to the half. Add those two up, you get minus 3x to the half. And then finally minus times minus will give you plus. There's a 1 that's understood here. 1 times 2 is 2. Write down the x, and then half and half, you multiply in powers, so you have to add it up, you will get 1. So that's your real question. And therefore f prime x is equal to, the derivative of 1 is 0, the derivative of a number is of a constant is 0, but I'm just writing it for fun. Minus 3 over 2, half times minus 3 gives you minus 3 over 2. Write down x. Half minus 1 will give you minus half. 1 times 2 will give you 2. X to the 1 minus 1 will give you x to the 0. I can ignore. So this final answer is really minus 3 over 2 x to the minus half plus 2. And we just got one more to do, which is 5.2. So a couple of seconds for you to have a look at that, and then I'll move on to do 5.2. Alright, let's look at 5.2. In 5.2, you got y is equal to p cubed plus 1 all over p plus 1. Then you will have to factorize this. So it will be p plus 1 into p squared minus p, right, plus 1. And if you, well, you've got to know your cubic factorization. The factorization for that is p plus 1 into p squared, 1 squared, multiply this 2 and write it in the middle, put an opposite sign. I'll repeat again. That's a sum of 2 cubes. Whether it's a sum of 2 cubes or difference of 2 cubes, you factorize the same way. If it's p plus 1, then here it will be p plus 1 first. Then in the second bracket, it will be p squared in the beginning, it will be 1 squared in the end. In the middle, it will be p times 1, which is p. This is plus, that will be opposite, it will be minus. All over p plus 1. These will cancel, and your final question is really p squared minus p plus 1. Therefore, your answer dy by dx is equal to 2 times the one that is understood here is 2p. 2 minus 1 is 1. This 1 times that minus 1, there's a 1 that's understood here, is minus 1. P to the 1 minus 1 will give me p to the 0. And that will actually give me the derivative of a number is, of a constant is 0. And that's really 2p minus 1, because that's 1. Minus 1 times 1 will give you minus 1. So that's your final answer. Alright, so you can see that if you don't know your basics, if you don't know your factorization, if you don't know your products, like here you need to know products. Here you need to know factorization. Plus here you needed to know your rules of exponents. So a whole lot of basics have to come into your mind when you're doing calculus and derivatives. You've got to go back to the other sections and link them while you're doing this. Well, I do hope you enjoy. This is an easy section and you can score full marks in this section over here. So I do hope you enjoy derivatives by rules, and with that we'd like to say it's the end and enjoy your studies. Right, Ponga. Now